Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm really sorry. I was talking to myself for about like a few minutes. So good to repeat. So my name is Mustafa Alio, and I'm the Managing Director for Jumpstart Refugee Talent. I want to thank Malas for the time, and I hope his insights in topic were helpful. I also wanted to encourage everyone that by the time I finish my part, and I promise I'll try to make it as quick as possible, please do type your questions. And I want to thank you for your patience, just kind of for us to deal with the technical difficulties. So for some of you, or maybe some not, if they know or not, I came to Canada back in the day as a refugee myself. And I think what also gave me a little bit more advantage to give insights on this kind of job, because I did work for TD Bank as a financial advisor for about 2 years. So I know that kind of, the whole process inside out. I've gone through it. I've been also with hiring managers and other people, or even kind of hiring managers or HR in the banks. And I deal on a daily basis with a lot of our partners from the, who are employers or HR partners. So what I wanted today to basically my part to be in terms of like, how can we do that interview a little bit better? How can you impress on the HR people? And again, while we, as Manaz mentioned in his presentation, usually, I mean, the interview process or to get a job, it's about like 4 steps as we explained there. So you need to apply online, all of this. And while our role is just trying to kind of bypass you or do 50% of the work, which is, trying to have your profile to be viewed and picked by an HR people, and then trying to be presented to a hiring manager. And then you don't have to compete with hundreds of resumes that being put on online if you apply online. However, at the same time, we cannot control basically your performance, and that's going to be on you. And then that needs, I mean, I'm not going to say a lot of preparation. Really, it would need just a little bit of preparation, just that you need to be smart about it. And I think you'll do very well in this. So what I wanted to go here, just kind of with for the pre-interview, it's really important when you're interviewing, and then when the HR people, basically when you talk to HR people, they kind of live, breathe, and work in terms of, the company they are in. They know the things inside out. And then they would know right away if someone actually looked their website. You might think that, there are 5 banks in Canada and they are almost the same. Actually, to the most aspect of it, it might be true, but then look a little bit deeper into the details of each bank. Actually, they are a little bit different in terms of how they present themselves, in terms of how they would like to be seen in terms of their clients, and even the people, their internal clients, which are the employees. So basically reviewing the websites and looking at the programs and the product and the services, and even to go to the annual report of the CIBC and somehow try to compare it, and maybe read maybe 1 or 2 articles of what make CIBC different than the other banks. I think that would go along the way. That would be a great tool for you to enable a better communication skills and better answers if they ever, come up with kind of question, what we call it, a little bit out of the box questions. Definitely reviewing the career and job posting on the CIBC is very important. It's also very important for you to kind of know and kind of read how they write those job descriptions. How do they write about the roles they want? And this is something like, if you know the language around it, and if you can use that language as much as possible in your answers or your conversation with the HR, again, this is something they kind of, they work on every day, and that would benefit you tremendously. I think the last one is definitely to visit peer review and sites and career and inside. And there are websites like Glassdoor or Career Insiders, and those kind of websites, what you get from it, you get actually a reviews and kind of an insider tips from employees within the organization. They give you a little bit more insights about the organization in general, and that also would enrich your conversation and your information when you go and you do the interview with the HR people. And I mean, here, when I'm also with the pre-interview, there are three things really when an HR, just kind of to make it a little bit simple. They are three things that an HR person try to kind of get from having a conversation with you. Um, the first one is that they want to make sure that you have the right communication. Second, in general, that you are committed and you have the commitment and passion to work, for example, with the bank or even for this role. And I think that the last one is that whether you are a good fit or not for the position. So, whatever now those questions that you're going to see it in this slides and the slide after, kind of some of them go under one of those things. So when you say review job description and make sure that you meet the minimum requirement, and how well do you fit the job description, those kind of questions, when the HR person going to tell you is like, tell me about yourself and all of that, this kind of question they want to test and see how your communication level. And communication doesn't mean only that you have a good language skills. Communication is also how do you present yourself, how do you present the information, how excited are you when you're presenting those for information, and how open and how good your listening skills are, because sometimes even they might ask a question. There are a lot of time where we end up trying to speak more than what they ask us, or even kind of go a little bit and sideway the question. I mean, the other thing, what are the skills and abilities and qualities you have that benefit the organization? It's really important kind of, to take a moment and think about some of the skills and then abilities that makes you different than others, that make you passionate about the job. And you know what, if you read about CIBC, I'm pretty sure with every bank of those five, they always have a cool program. So if there is something that you feel you're connected to, it's really important to mention it on the organization. The other thing, why are you better than fit? I know that a lot of times, especially with these questions, that maybe we seems to be very humble, but this is really kind of not the things that an HR person looking for. They want to see that hunger you have in you. They want to see why you are the best fit in that way. So it's really important to kind of, pick a few things to talk about yourself and why would you the best fit for this position they're interviewing with you. And this is kind of goes, and even the second one, I also put it kind of, put it on the top here as a communication, commitment, and good fit for the position. Your top three strengths is really important. And I think what the advantage that we have as a refugees is that basically we have a lot of stories. And there is one thing, like if there is anything I can stress, is that HR people and hiring managers, they actually love stories. When you go and then you try to answer them a question, or you try to present something you want to tell, and then you bring as an example, like story that we've gone through as an example, I think that would be the best thing you can do. So those are some of the also kind of, things that you need to prepare for. Your three top strengths, 2 to 5 situational stories. They will ask you about situational stories in a way, why you want to work for the organization. Please have like a little bit more a transparent and honest and kind of truthful answer. Like those kind of questions where people think that, it's just a general question or general answer, and then those HR people hear always the same answers from many people. So if you are a little bit different, if you're really kind of passionate about the answer or what exactly you want to say, and if you put some thought into it, I think you will position yourself kind of far from the general answers that they hear on a daily basis. Why are you the best candidates? I think we'll talk about this, and tell them who you are. The way, and even when we're telling stories, like every time is like, telling your past history, what you're passionate about, what kind of motivate you, the long-term aspirations. Those also, you can bring the personal aspect to it, but always be cautious that it has always to be a work-related or career-related answers. And this is also, we're just repeating the same way, but again, like it's just important for you. I think I'm just gonna summarize it back into this. It's about, your communication skills, how you present yourself, how committed and passionate are you to work for a bank or in this, or specifically for CIBC in this position, and, and then good fit, which is kind of what background do you have? You need to let them know whether on kind of like as Manaz mentioned, the CSC, the Canadian Security Scores, or EFIC, the investment fund, basically Canada, and those kind of like courses, or even other like relevant experiences. So this kind of, they know how, if you are a good fit for the position or not. And those are basically what important, and just Malaz now reminding me that actually the question you see it on the screen. So even if you can't take a screenshot on it, those are the questions actually were sent to us by CIBC people. So in a way that even this is the extra support, that they're like, this is how committed and serious about trying to hiring refugees. It's kind of, they send us a sheet that those are the questions they asked in our last kind of event, when they did kind of like a one-on-one with people. So most likely those are the questions they would ask you again, or at least most of them they would ask you in the upcoming event on the 29th. And again, like it's really maybe one of the tips I can give you usually when I go and then try to prepare for my interviews, really try to write down the answer for each of those questions and then just kind of review it. You don't have, I mean, definitely it's better if you practice it out loud, but it doesn't matter the way you want to practice it. But when you write it down, you always have the chance to re-edit and then to make it a little bit better. If you have it in your head, you don't have to memorize it, but just if you write it down, you kind of practice it a little bit, I think you will do really good on it. And again, in a way that always show that you're, be a little bit more kind of, I think my advice to be a little bit bubbly, be outgoing, showing them that passion and why you really need the job and what you're trying to get out of this if you get the job. I think the last way, in a way, in interviews, and I know because and we are in weird times right now, and different times in a way, so things are changing in terms of the interview. But many people also, one of the mistakes that they're doing, because it's virtual interview, it doesn't mean that you can be casual about it, or you can be because at the end, those kind of small details, that's what they pay attention to in a way. So basically dressing properly, even though it's going to be on the screen, that would be an absolute requirement. And also that would bring, basically it shows like those kind of things that without you saying anything, it shows how serious and how committed you are. So, I mean, you don't have to arrive 15 minutes early. At the end, you are in a virtual setting. So definitely just make sure that you have a good connections, that you have, maybe you can have a phone number that will provide you at that point. If you they can call you and all, or you can call back. So we'll try to kind of assess it with you, just make sure that you have the right connections. I mean, having a business card is not going to work here on virtual setting, but definitely it's really important to make an eye contact. Like when you're talking to an interviewer, really try to make an eye contact. I know there is no eye in front of you, but definitely on the camera, this is something that you can try your best, just kind of to look at the camera and just, try to imagine that literally you're talking to the person, because that's what they're looking at when you're looking at the camera. Find an opportunity to share your story. And also, it's really important to do your best to share. And again, that's what I say. One of the strengths, I think, or I'm not going to say strength, but one of the different things that we have as refugees, that we have compelling stories or resilience. We have stories that people usually don't hear often. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that also you got to be careful. Like, it's not kind of, I just want to share my story at any point. Is that you need to be smart about picking the time and picking the portion and be straight to the point. And if it doesn't happen, if they don't ask, or you do not feel there was a point that you can share your story, that's fine. But just kind of be aware, do your best to share it at the right time. Take a moment to think about the response. It's always okay, not kind of, again, one of the most common mistakes that a lot of people, when we get asked a question, we start kind of answering the question and like another question, or sometimes we're trying to answer a complete different question. So really take a moment just kind of to sink in, to listen to the question, think about it for a few seconds, and then start answer. One of also the most common mistake, and this is kind of a deadly mistake, when an interviewer asks you if you have any question, if you say no, I can guarantee you guys, it's almost going to be like no for them. I mean, if you say no to questions, it is also no for them. So it's super important for you to have a question, and please try to think of a good question, something that would, you're curious about, that you want to know more about, not kind of what, I mean, there are some of those questions. When are we going to hear about this? When are we going to get connected? Those are the regular ones. Try to come up really with a question that you really want the answer for. from CIBC, from your reading, all of that, that shows that you're prepared. When you come up with a question that really like has a kind of curiosity in it or something that you want to know, that shows that you're going above and beyond, and definitely you sit down and you read and then you prepare for it. Virtual interview, I think those are some of the tips that we have for virtual interview. Again, press properly, be there. I mean, you definitely be there. We're just trying to take you, and try please to be on time, and maybe you log in to the whole webinar about 5 minutes before, just to make sure that you have the right connection. Ensure that your space won't be disrupted. I mean, it's very important that also you be in a space. I know it might be hard in a way, like this is kind of a little bit a tricky area. I know, and especially when we're talking about, a woman and girl, it's not easy to kind of, if they have a kids or if they are at home, or even others, in a way that's just kind of to be in an area that is completely quiet. But please do your best that to be in a space that's a little bit quiet. That would definitely increase the chances and will avoid any kind of disturbance that might happen. Even like we talk here about the background, even though, I mean, it's easy, I'm not sure if some of you, but definitely you can look up, for example, having a professional background, and just, I mean, right now I have just the regular background that we have in the office, but if you don't, I mean, it's easy kind of to find something as a background and put it there, like a wall. If you don't have a wall, but you can always find a virtual background and put it. And listen, you can be creative with those virtual background, but just try your best to be a professional virtual background. I think also that kind of speak and kind of pay attention to a little bit more details. Connect by the phone if you lose it. If you plan to screen share, ensure that your desktop is clean. If you want to screen share and conduct yourself, like, in a word, really try to consider that virtual interview, like you're doing it in person. In that way, it's your best, just trying to connect with the person on the other side, show your passion, really try your best, just kind of, to think about it as a just like in-person interview. That's my end. I really wish you luck for all of you. Again, all what I wanted to say is that a little bit of preparation when you meet with the HR people, and Manas mentioned it, getting an HR person to like you and to be impressed, and then to, basically you're having champion from inside the organization, that if it doesn't happen this time, but I'm pretty sure you would have a chance to always follow up. You also would be, you would have something more kind of a peace of mind that there is someone who's trying to advocate on behalf of you from the inside the bank, and you can do some follow-up in there. I hope that you're doing well, then you're staying safe, and I wish really the best for all of you. We will do our best from our side to kind of, try to get CIBC to hire as many refugees as possible. We'll keep working also with other maybe opportunities, so stay tuned, stay connected with what we post, and we would be happy to take the questions you have.